Fuck the count. Welcome back to episode 5 of Quantum Alchemists. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Alchemistic, but you can call me B, and I'm joined by Alex Romero Benji and Mr. Quantum himself.
What's up, everybody? What's up, B? It's been a whole
Um,
week.
the sky is up, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the sky. We're talking about astrology today. We kind of tiptoed around it last week, talking about a little bit about astrology, and I was talking about the sacred secretion and the moon and your sun sign and this process in your body.
Right.
And consequently, I was going through this. The moon was in Sagittarius starting the day we recorded. And I decided I normally do a meat fast. I don't eat meat during this period of time. And I decided this time around I was going to do a little different. I was going to do a full water fast, no food for 3 days, just
You're a brave man. Brave man.
water and coffee, which maybe was part of my downfall because
Coffee? You really did coffee, bro?
I was drinking coffee. Yeah, I was
You didn't
considering
tell me
that
that part.
water. It
You
wasn't a
didn't tell me that part.
yeah. I think I was smoking tobacco too, so it wasn't a full-on like fast. It was I didn't eat anything, but I was drinking coffee and
Oh, bro, yeah, I could have told you that coffee without food, dude. Not
I
a
was
good look.
dialed up, man, for 3 days. I was it was heavy. It was a lot of heavy energy. It was a good experience, but it was very intense downloads, very intense energy. I was feeling like an electricity running up and down my spine, and having to consciously just do breathing exercises and moving that energy up and down my spinal cord. It was
Because you're jacked up on caffeine.
and the caffeine, I'm sure, didn't help. But yeah, it was very intense, and I would suggest everybody try it at least once, doing a water fast during your sacred secretion time. Which, if you didn't watch last episode, go watch it, and you can find out all the details about the sacred secretion. It is a process in your body that happens when the moon is in your sun sign every month. Your pineal gland and your pituitary release DMT and serotonin respectively, and it coils down your spine down to your sacrum, your sacral plexus at the bottom of your spine, the little triangle thing at the bottom of your spine, and then stays there for 3 days and then rises again once the moon leaves your sun sign. Very intense. It's a very intense process, especially if you mindfully approach it like I did, with a fast and a spiritual intention behind it, because intention is what powers a lot of these experiences spiritually. If you want to call magic is all intention. It's all powered by intention and belief.
Right.
If you don't believe in the magic, you have no intention behind the magic, then the magic doesn't do anything. And our bodies are pure magic, spiritual magic, if you really get into the mysteries. So yeah,
Right.
brother, it was really intense. I'm still feeling the aftermath of it. I still have this electricity I feel going between my heart chakra and my third eye that is sporadically coming, hitting me like lightning bolts. And
So for those of you at home that haven't tried a water fast, I would definitely recommend you taking it slow at first because it is intense. And if you're gonna do it fully watered, I highly also recommend not sorry, B, I love you to death, but do not drink coffee when you haven't eaten. And also probably try juicing, so you keep your body nourished and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's dangerous stuff, man, especially if you're not used to doing it. It could really mess you up, you know. You're a healthy young man, so for you, like, and for you, you floored you, so I can only imagine I'm not that healthy, to be honest with you. So I might take it easy and not just do 3 days, but maybe one day at first, right?
I mean, Christ fasted for 40 days in the desert, and a lot of people do long, long water fasts, and it's a very spiritual thing that we've kind of because feng shuied out of society. Like, people don't really fast anymore. But it's like you read the Bible or any scriptures, A lot of ancients had it regularly. They were practicing fasting, and now we're on this thing where like our body can't get enough food. We're just feeding it every day, every day, every day.
Right.
We can like find it on the clock, like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. And we think
Right.
that we need the food, which we really don't. You kind of find that out when you're in day two-ish, 1.5. You get past this threshold in your fast where you're not hungry, right? And your body kicks into this like strange mode where it goes into spiritual mode. You go into this almost tunnel energetically where your senses become heightened, and this, I think this is when your body starts to break down a lot of the bad cells, like they say that fasting is very essential if you're trying to fight cancer. Your body will
Yeah.
fight the cancer cells when you're fasting. And this is another thing that a lot of people, proponents for fasting, say why cancer is so high is because we stopped fasting, and our body is not meant to eat constantly every day, all 365 days a year. There's your body does need a break, and there's a very like tangible health benefit to doing it. A lot of people do intermittent fasting where
Right.
they stop eating at a certain time at night, and then they won't eat until a certain time the next day. So they give their
I
body at least 12 to 14 hours of leeway to not have to digest.
To be
Uh,
honest with you, I actually did intermittent fasting a few years ago. I lost a good amount of weight on it. I would probably go 18 to 20 hours of no food, just water, and maybe in that case I would have coffee, right, and black, because I knew that I was gonna have food within a short amount of time. But I would only take in my calories for that short 4 hour window and nothing outside of that. And, and I don't know, it's really bizarre, but it worked, you know.
it works for a lot of people. My ex's brother did it and lost like 50 pounds and looked great. Like he went from being overweight to looking great, and it was like he swore by it, and a lot of people have really good results with it. And I would suggest you look into your own health. I wouldn't, like Alex said, it's nothing to fuck with. A 3-day water fast isn't really a lot. Like that, but people do like 40-day water fast, and that to me, the longest I've ever gone is 5 days. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of mental restraint because you get hungry and you get like hangry, and
Hangry, hangry is more like it.
yeah, the first I would say 30 hours, right? First day and a half, day plus 6 hours or whatever is really tough. You really have to fight that and be like, no, I'm doing this. And don't do it with coffee. I'm just a very I need coffee, I guess. It's one of my vices. So I probably shouldn't have drank coffee in hindsight. It probably was what kicked it up to a whole other level. It was very intense. But spiritually, I feel like I had a lot of very intense and necessary breakthroughs on my own for myself. I'm going through this really strange period in my life. And that's which is why I decided to do the water fast. Is if you guys have been watching the episodes, I've been detailing what's going on with my life.
Yeah.
I'm currently without home. Right now I'm staying at my buddy's place and dog sitting, um, doing some dog sitting. But I got kicked out of my place. And I'm not going to go into that whole thing, but yeah, I'm in
Gotta
this
watch the
weird.
episode.
Yeah, watch the other episodes. Go watch episode 4. Um, so I felt I needed to. I felt I was in this period, and Alex will the testament to this yesterday. I've kind of been searching for some answers, and because the fashion that I was kicked out of my place was very undeserving. I felt like, I've been putting in a lot of spiritual work, and a lot of things haven't been going right in my life. But maybe they have, right? If you look at it from the right lens, like maybe this is something that was supposed to happen, and I'm about to go take this trip
Right.
to Georgia. Um, when you guys see this, it'll be tomorrow. On Wednesday, I'm going to Georgia to be with my mom for a little bit and
Right.
stay with her. But in LA, I have no place. I have nowhere to live in LA, which is why I'm taking this time. I have this time available now to myself to go see my mom in Georgia and spend some time with her. But I'm looking for answers, just internally, and I got a
Right.
lot. I got a lot out of this fast, and I talked a lot about the sacred secretion. I talked a little bit about astrology. We want to get a little bit deeper into the astrology, and
Yeah.
I can tell you, guys, that when the moon is in your sun sign, it is a very spiritually significant time. If you want to find out more about the sacred secretion, watch episode 4. But that was an astrological event in my life. The moon's in Sagittarius, so I did this water fast, and it was very intense and spiritual and beneficial. And we want to kind of get a little bit deeper into some of you guys may be feeling these effects. We're dealing with a lot of astrological events, significant astrological events in the sky at this moment. Kind of unprecedented. A lot of we'll go into the document right now. I'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of an outline of what we're going to be talking about today. We're talking about the 29-degree planets. Like when a planet is in 29 degrees, right now there's 3 planets in 29 degrees, which is significant, and I'll tell you guys why. Um, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are all at 29 degrees right now. And I'll give you guys a little background. In astrology, the 29th degree of any planet in a sign is considered significant because it is the final, most intense degree of that sign, often referred to as the anaretic degree. Planets at this degree are said to carry a sense of urgency and heightened expression of the sign's energy as they prepare to transition into the new sign, the next sign. So we've got 3 planets in this very influential degree, and this hasn't happened in probably thousands of years that these 3 planets have done it. Like Alex asked Chat GPT a lot of questions, and it
Yeah.
didn't seem to be able to produce the last time all 3 of these planets were in conjunction 29 degrees at the same time.
And it
Um,
couldn't tell me when it will do it again either.
yeah, it's Pluto is every 248 years. I think you said Neptune was every, or Uranus was every 84 years, and Neptune's every 100 and something years. So for all these planets that are cycling constantly to be at the same position at the same time, it doesn't happen very often on this big cyclical bunch of circles going in circles that this whole universe is. Um, it hasn't happened in a long fucking time. So I'm going to go through and read what the significance is of each of these planets at 29 degrees. Neptune is associated with dreams, intuition, illusions, spirituality, and collective consciousness in Pisces, its home sign. These themes are emphasized because this is where it's at now. They're all in Pisces. At the 29th degree, Neptune's influence is particularly strong, heightening collective spiritual awakenings, creative inspiration, but also confusion or disillusionment. This could manifest as an intense period of both personal and societal exploration of deeper truths, spiritual or mystical experiences, but also an increased potential for deception or escapism. Neptune will move into Aries in late 2025, signaling a shift towards a more action-oriented, pioneering approach to spirituality and collective ideals. So that is Neptune. That's just that one planet. All that stuff is just that one planet at 29 degrees. And Uranus is at 29 degrees in Taurus. Uranus represents innovation, revolution, and sudden change. In Taurus, it challenges the status quo in areas related to security, finance, material values, and the environment. At the 29th degree, Uranus will bring a culmination of these themes, potentially causing sudden shifts in financial systems, environmental crises or breakthroughs, and technological innovations related to sustainability. Uranus will enter Gemini in mid-2025, sparking revolutions in communication, technology, and education systems, emphasizing adaptability and intellectual change. And I'm reading
Now,
this stuff about 2025 just because this is where we're going.
right. This is really interesting stuff considering like when you look around at all the stuff that's happening in the news and the media, you know, with all the financial crises, right? Um, we've got this week coming up, we've got the Fed cutting interest rates. We've got AI growing at incredible rates. We've got sustainability as one of the topics on, main topics that everyone's talking about. And these are like uh it's just interesting, like how I didn't even think to look at this stuff, to be honest with you. I mean, only because of our last podcast that we did, was it that I had my astrologer friend hit me up and tell me like to start asking these random questions. And uh when I started putting this stuff into Chat GPT, I just I told B, I'm like, B, we have to talk about this stuff today, because when you start seeing the correlation of the information from before and now, it is just absolutely mind blowing. And I don't want to cut you off, B. Please continue. This is
No,
just
I think that was a good chance to kind of like interject, right? Like I still have to read about Pluto being in 29 degrees of Capricorn, but this is something we talked about last episode, was like the significance of astrology, right? Like they've painted this certain picture of astrology in the mainstream these days, in this day and age, because they don't want you to look into these things, right? Meanwhile, all the billionaires in the world have astrologists, and they have for like over 100 years, right? Like it's been the
yep,
last couple 100 years, the most successful, significant business men and women, and the most significant people on the planet in positions of power have astrologists. Why is
yep,
that? If it's so fucking ugh, if it's
yeah,
like if it's meaningless, right? If it's just some hocus pocus fucking
yeah,
bullshit, why are all these like prominent
right,
powerful people looking into astrology and having astrologists on speed dial? They all do. So there's, and like I was talking last episode about the sun and the moon and how it affects us. So why wouldn't the other, astronomical, astrological bodies have some
right.
kind of influence?
That are much bigger than us in the solar system.
And the ancients were obsessed with them, and like you really look into ancient history and all the things that they were capable of, and what the things they encoded into their big monuments like the pyramids, like they knew some shit that we don't know anymore because we've been dumbed down. We've been
Right,
dumbed down, and this shit's been taken out and then made it into hocus pocus. Oh, only
right,
silly people believe in this stuff. But
right,
meanwhile, the most powerful people in the world believe in it. So
right.
why have you been kept from it,
Now,
right?
now,
Um,
back to your regular scheduled programming.
yeah. So let's anyway. After
No, no,
that, I just wanted to
I
go
said
on
that.
that rant
I said
so
that
that
for a reason.
people
I said that for a
understand.
reason.
Yeah, people. I just want people to understand like why we're talking about this, because it's relevant. Like astrology is relevant. Stop being
100%.
dumb and letting them sweep this stuff under the rug, because they're all
Right,
looking
right.
into this shit. So
Well,
Pluto,
the problem also, before you start, the problem also lies in the fact that you are being distracted from every possible way, so you don't look at these things now as you were.
yeah, they don't want you to be empowered, and this is empowering information. And if you really look at what I'm talking about, this is exactly what's happening in the world right now, right? The implications of these planets have a correlation. And then, like, if you look into your own astrology, you're going to find, like, especially if you go in depth with your birth chart, like, and really look into all the little like nuances of your birth chart and the descriptions of you as a person, it's going to be pretty relevant, because I know
Yeah.
mine is like super relevant. So anyway, I digress. Let's look at Pluto and Capricorn at 29 degrees. Pluto represents transformation, power, destruction, and rebirth. In Capricorn, it has been transforming structures of authority, government, and societal hierarchies since 2008. Which what happened in 2008 when it went into Capricorn?
The
Hmm.
last financial collapse.
At the 29th degree, Pluto's transformative power is at its peak, indicating a time of intense restructuring of political and corporate systems, as well as collective reassessment of power dynamics. Pluto will move into Aquarius in 2024-25, symbolizing a global transformation in terms of technology, social structures, and collective empowerment, potential leading to a more decentralized or egalitarian society. So,
Decentralized or egalitarian society.
so to sum it up, like all these fucking things are happening in the sky. All these fucking things are about to happen in the material world, in the election, with the elections, with the
Right.
stuff going on around the world in Gaza and in Ukraine, and all these relevant
Yeah.
things that are happening are basically the exact stuff that the planetary alignments are foretelling, right?
And also, by the way, don't forget they're eating our dogs and eating our cats.
Yeah. So to sum it up, the collective will be
Food.
experiencing intense shifts in how we relate to spiritual, material, and societal structures as Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto transition into new signs. The year will likely bring profound transformations in our understanding of reality, including how we handle resources, navigate technological changes, and engage in spiritual or philosophical shifts. The 29th degree of these outer planets suggests that we are on the cusp of major endings and new beginnings that will shape the future. These transits are considered particularly impactful on a societal level, affecting collective consciousness, global movements, and long-term structural changes.
And again, folks, this isn't the first time we've done this. We've done this before. And if you don't think that it's capable of happening again, I don't know. Look around you. Look at how lawless this place has become. It's the wild, wild west, man. Like no one gives a fuck about anything. Nobody.
It's gotten pretty wild, man. I was just telling Alex in the pre-talk about my friend had this experience when he was delivering Uber last night, where the guy wouldn't respond. He brought his food, the guy's not responding. He's like, where the fuck is this guy? He's hitting him up. The time expires because you have a certain amount of time to respond to the driver when he gets there to give you your food that he graciously brought you from the restaurant, so you don't have to leave your fucking house. So my buddy delivers his food, the guy's not responding, so he's like, what the fuck's going on? He's getting ready to cancel the order and leave, and the guy hits him up on the phone and starts berating him and saying, bring it to my backyard. And my friend's like, sorry, dude, like I'm not gonna, you need to come out and get your food. I'm not bringing it to your backyard. And so the dude comes out brandishing a gun, shooting it in the air, gets arrested, right? Gets himself
Oh, he did get
arrested.
arrested?
Yeah, Daniel called the cops on him after he left,
Oh,
and he said they came and arrested the dude. But yeah,
wow.
craziness. Like this dude just ruined his life over a fucking food delivery. It's just wacky. Like
I'm
this
sorry,
dude
it's
is
not funny, but this is the world we live in.
this is
This is
what's
the world
happening
we
around. People are losing their collective fucking minds,
live in. Yeah,
and it's been teetering for a while, right? Like we've
it
been
has.
teetering since COVID.
has.
Like
I feel
people
like we're peaking. I feel like we're hitting a peak though.
Yeah, well, I mean, because election time's coming, right? And it's this energy that's like this erratic energy of, oh crap, there's an election coming again. And then we got the
Mhm.
fucking crazy lefties and the crazy righties ready to fucking choke each other to death over fucking an illusion. And then we
Yeah.
got the people like me in the middle, like, oh my God, what are these crazy fuckers gonna do this time? Because the last time was crazy and the time before that was crazy. And we've just been on this the crazy cycle of shit in politics since Trump came on the scene back in 2016. It's just been a lot of like really like this is election number 3 with Donald Trump, and he's definitely he's definitely one of those polarizing figures to say the least. So it's yeah, we're facing a third straight election that over Donald Trump, and the craziness that he brings to both sides of the equation. And so yeah, it's a very erratic time heading into this election, and the planets are signaling more of the same, and kind of foretelling this whole energetic situation that we find ourselves in. And then we were talking, Alex, before that there's the lunar eclipse tomorrow as well. There's a lot of stuff going on in the skies. Um, over the past 12 months, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the sky, and it just keeps we got this crazy brew right now with these 3 planets. And one of the things Alex was asking also was like about the correlation between right now and 1776, which is the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, which is the major correlation between right now and back then. Was Pluto was in Capricorn during the founding of the United States 248 years ago, and this Pluto cycle has come full circle. and which, you know, transformation of power structures. Pluto and Capricorn during the late 18th century symbolized the breakdown of old systems of governance and the birth of new ones. We are once again in a period of significant transformation in how authority, governance, and societal structures are managed. So, you
Where
know,
you
you
at?
look at I scrolled down a little bit on this little document. I just wanted to kind of correlate, you know, the major astrological parallel of
Oh,
Pluto
the position.
was back during the 1776 and the founding of the United States. And here we are 248 years later, and Pluto's causing havoc again. And so it's relevant. There's a lot of
Right.
stuff going on with it's the 29 degrees of these three planets is a huge implication for the net for the election time, because they're all doing it at the same time. And it's just something to look at, you know, it's something to be
Right.
aware of, that the energies that you guys may be feeling internally is not necessarily your own, especially if you're on the spiritual journey with us, and very heightened awareness to the energy around you. There's a lot of things going on in the heavenly bodies that are affecting us, and I definitely walloped me during this water fast. I'm
Mhm.
so it's something to be aware of, right?
Right. Well, keep in mind now, right now there's a lot of talks in the background. I don't know if, how much people are aware of like, um, there's some people talking about that the United States might even split before the elections, right? And like right now we're probably about a month and a half or 2 months away. And that's a pretty interesting concept or thought to think that that we are less than 60 days away from this event, and there are people actually out there who believe that we may actually be broken up as a country before that even happens. In some circles, people believe we may not even have an election. Right now
There's
there's
definitely a lot of fuckery afoot. There was a lot of fuckery afoot the last two elections, and this one's going to be no different. And
yeah.
this is something that's kind of been floated for a while now, because the divide between the left and the right has gotten so prevalent and just vicious and untenable, to where we've talked about this. You know, people 4 years ago when Trump lost were talking about seceding from the union, and the whole January 3rd stuff, or January 6th, whatever fucking day it
Well,
was.
keep in mind this, right? So the last time, right, you're talking about Pluto and Capricorn, we're going back way back, like almost 248 years, right? That's a cycle.
Mhm.
So according to this here, Pluto and Capricorn actually broke away. That's where we broke away from the British rule, about 250 years ago. So this is like a time where we were fighting for our freedom from from the redcoats, right? Where now, like, what's different? We're still fighting for our freedom, but from our own government at this point, you know? Um, and so once again, we're in that period of significant transformation in how authority, governance, and our societal structures are all managed, right? So it's like we're having an audit. I think that's one way of putting it. We're having an audit of our internal structures, of how things work, and we notice they don't work, right? So then back then, the American colonies broke free from British control, dismantling the old hierarchical powers that we had, and now we're witnessing the reevaluation of those very same political systems, the role of government, the role of corporate power, the role of social institutions. And now with Pluto returning for the US in 2022 to 2025, this symbolizes a reckoning with the country's foundational structures, including the themes of economic inequality, systemic injustice, and political power shifts, which the power shifts are only going between two parties, right? The left and the right, as you were just saying so eloquently, the far left and the far right, we're getting stuck right in the middle where we don't want to deal with any of these clowns, but we're stuck with their shit show, unfortunately. Um, Now
And
we've
ever
got
since the 2016 election, what I've noticed is like them being pulled farther and farther towards the extremes, right? Like during Barack Obama, I feel like we were a more purple country, right? There's a lot more people that were in the middle. There's a lot more people that that were less, there weren't a lot of extremists, right? And now, ever since Donald Trump has come on the scene, it has served to radicalize the left and the right into this violent polarity, right? Where they're on the both on the extremes, and there's still a shit ton of us in the middle, but the crazies have relegated to the poles of each side of the extreme to
Yeah.
where it's more
Far more.
volatile. It's more volatile. You got people trying to kill Donald Trump. You had all kinds of like riots and shit last time there was an election. And
Yeah,
one something that
did you hear that they tried to kill him again yesterday?
yeah, in Florida, right? So like
Allegedly.
something that was yeah, allegedly. You got to be skeptical. I'm a skeptic of everything they say on the news, but so here's something that's really interesting. Also, that Chat GPT unearthed was the last time Uranus was in Taurus, which was 80 years ago, right? Which is something we find again. So we got Pluto in Capricorn, which happened the last time it happened. The last time this cycle was where it was at was during the Revolutionary American War. The last time Pluto was in Uranus, 80 years ago, we had the Great Depression, we had World War II, we had Hitler, we had Mussolini, we had the Japanese
Right.
invasion, we had us dropping
Very,
the bomb,
very
we had
totalitarian,
the
very
most
geopolitical.
the most raw violence, maybe definitely in modern history, but that we've ever seen, right? Like
There
the
was some
most
radical shifts, yeah.
bald, disgusting violence that we've seen in generations, right? 80 years ago when Pluto was in Taurus, and now here it is coming back again. So we got not only do we have, or I said Pluto, I meant Uranus, Uranus and Taurus, which the last time was World War II and all this crazy horrible shit,
Right,
and then Pluto in Capricorn, which was the Revolutionary War. That's two
right,
things
right.
right there
But
that are
also
happening.
keep in mind also during this time of complete total destruction, okay, during World War II, what else came out of that? They destroyed the shit out of a lot of stuff, but also a lot of technological innovation and social innovation came out of it, right? A lot of industrialization came out of it. And so it's like, yes, there was a lot of downside to it, but we societally took a giant leap forward because we fed the machine that churned out all these new innovations that created this modern day economy.
Here, hear another one, man. This stuff just keeps getting better. Keeps getting better. So, okay, Neptune. The last time Neptune was in Aries, was 165 years ago during the American Civil War. So, like, those three major events, right, in history,
Like we're
were
reliving.
we're at a time when with Pluto with the Revolutionary War, Neptune with the Civil War, and Uranus with the World War II. Now all three of these planets are doing what they did the last time this crazy shit happened, all at the same fucking time, right
Yeah, how
now.
wild is that?
That right now,
Right
that's
now.
bonkers. That is bonkers.
Yeah.
That is a bonkers like just a pull of the slot machine of
Yeah.
the astrological signs. That's like
Because for us to say that nothing's gonna happen is complete horseshit, right? It's just a matter of like what's gonna happen. Nobody really knows, but all we can say is that the last time these things happened, major like worlds or this world was rocked, fucking rocked.
that's just
And
from one planet individually. Those planets individually, when they were at the same point they're at right now. Now all three of them are giving us a giant shit sandwich to take a bite of, right? And that's where we're at. And I've been saying since episode one, man, we're in this huge time of shit. Like if you're in any kind of spiritual path, you know it and you feel it and you're with us. You understand what we're talking about. You see what we see, right? There's this huge monumental shift in humanity happening. And I felt it my entire life since I was a kid that I was living in this crazy time, right? This crazy, like pivotal time in human history. And then you look at all these ancient cultures were pointing to this time. You look at the advancement in technology and all the wild shit that's happened in our lives, Alex. Like we've literally watched technology explode before our eyes in this fourth industrial
Absolutely.
revolution in a lot of ways. Like that's what we've kind of going through is a huge revolution in consciousness. The world has shrunk because of technology in our lifetime. And
Right.
now we're at this pivotal point. We're at this culmination point right now in 2024, with this election coming up, with all these astrological events happening, this shift that's going on that we can all feel if you're in tune with any kind of spirituality with yourself or anything. We know it's happening. So
Yep.
part of what we're doing here on this podcast is to make you aware of these things, first of all, things that you may not know about. And if you are aware, to tell you, like, we're here, like, reach out to us, we can help, in any way we can. We would like to help you guys with knowledge, with information, whatever you need. Like, we're
Right.
trying to grow this podcast at a time where we feel like we've been empowered with the knowledge and the information and the courage to do this, right? Because it takes a lot of courage to stand up and say, wait a minute, we're going to be revolutionaries or evolutionaries, if you want to call it that. Like we see what's coming, right? We see what's coming. Alex has put all this time into tech and into his innovations that he is trying to bring as solutions to this pivotal shifting time in humanity. And I'm definitely on this spiritual path, feeling like I'm a living lightning bolt right now after this fast, where this energy is just pouring into me and I'm getting downloads. And if you guys have watched the episodes up till now, we've given you guys a lot of groundbreaking information and kind of showing you where to look. Little breadcrumbs, which is what we're here. We're here to give you
Yeah.
breadcrumbs, put the breadcrumbs together and bake you bread so that you guys can better inform yourself for what's coming, and just find your authentic self, right? Find who you
Absolutely.
are, find your purpose, find what you were meant to do here. Because the systems that have been in place since our grandparents and their parents before then, the last 150 years, if you want to call it that period, that time is ending, right? This time of this world that was created by the Industrial Revolution, this system where the money system, the whole like work system, the way it all functions is changing because
Yeah.
of technology. Technology is ushering out this old age that has been around for a couple hundred years, and we're ushering out with it the people who profited off of all that, right? And those are the people who are fighting the hardest to keep this from coming. Is
Yep.
the old money that was created during the beginning of that time, right? Those are the people who have ruled the last, let's say, 150, 200 years. Those people, all of the systems that they have in place, all of the people like William Randolph Hearst that stomped out things like for example, hemp, right? Like let's go into a hemp tangent. Like look at the things that the Reefer Madness campaign stomped out. Like hemp provides all the solutions for any kind of petroleum based product that's harmful to
Oh,
the environment. Um,
there's
Paper,
so
textiles,
many.
oils, plastics.
Yeah.
And
People
this
don't.
happens, like these are the type of people we're pushing out, right? We need to
People
get
people
rid of
don't
this.
even realize people don't realize that you could actually use hemp as an electrical conductor as well. It's actually as highly conductive as graphene is, but most people would never know that. And
It's
graphene is
cool,
highly
dude. It literally is a miracle plant, and it's been demonized as piece of weed, right? Because the hippies like smoke it, and the whole look at the whole reefer madness propaganda bullshit that was fed to this country and fed and pumped into public psyche, right? Because it has a psychoactive effect and people like to smoke it. It was demonized as this devil plant, and then stomped out when it had all these solutions medically, societally, like it could be our clothes, it could be our paper, it could be all these things. Like literally, hemp is this mind blowing gift
right.
from God. It is literally a mind blowing gift from God. And when people like Woody Harrelson were talking about this in the 90s, and like Oprah was like making fun of him, and like the media was making fun of Woody Harrelson, when this dude was literally bringing us solutions. Like, look at like hemp can solve the oil problem, right? The problem of like petroleum based pharmaceuticals that are destroying
Yeah.
our Big Pharma, Big Pharma came in into that session while I was talking about pharmaceuticals, petroleum-based pharmaceuticals there. They don't like me talking about how harmful the petroleum-based pharmaceuticals are. But this is something that was came out of Reefer Madness. You look at our whole medical system and the use of petroleum-based pharmaceuticals. It was facilitated by John D. Rockefeller, who was an oil tycoon. And you really look at Reefer Madness, it was started by William Randolph Hearst of Hearst Castle fame. You guys have probably been to his castle up there, up north in Santa Barbara, where the fuck it's at. But William Randolph Hearst was a timber tycoon who knew that hemp was threatening to his paper industry. So he cooked up this Reefer Madness to demonize the plant. And all these other tycoons whose businesses were threatened, whose industries were threatened, the textile industry, the oil industry, the car industry, like all these different tycoons that had stake in the game, right? All banded together to promote this Reefer Madness. Look into this, guys. This is probably one of the most harmful and destructive events of the past 100 years that these tycoons all came together on to demonize this plant that literally offered all these solutions. And if we had not listened to these fuckers 100 years ago, and we had looked into these solutions that hemp offers, we probably wouldn't be in this environmental catastrophic phase that we're in right now, where people are worried about global warming and all these things that all these industries that pollute the earth.
Well, I just want to clarify for the record, and I say this openly in all of my chats. I say, you know what, climate change is a thing, right? The climate has changed long before we were here. It will continue to change long after we're gone. Just wanted to say that.
No, I mean I'm not 100% sold on the global warming thing because of all the. This is another thing, right? Is all these tycoons are banding together and promoting green technology and the Green New Deal, and it's the same kind of deal that was happening with Reefer Madness, right? Is like you have all these special interests that are promoting a certain thing, global warming, and getting you to fear it, getting you to be afraid, and oh, we need to do all these solutions over here. We have
They're
these
just
solutions,
tactics to
and
steer the population in any one direction, you know.
yeah, it's a fear campaign used just like Reaver Madness. So
Maybe
I'm
it
not
used to
by
work.
any means I'm not like throwing my hat in the ring of global warming and that whole thing because
It's all good.
most of climate can be traced back to the sun. So I would say just educate yourself on all these things, right? Whenever there's a lot of people with a lot of money that are banding together for something, it's something that you need to look at with a skeptical eye. And
Yeah.
if our ancestors, not too distant ancestors from 100 years ago, had been more skeptical about reefer madness and had really looked into the guys that were promoting this demonization of marijuana, we might be in a much different place today if we had a more thinking populace that was skeptical of the powerful and rich and what their aims were with this Reefer Madness campaign. It's something that's really like I'm passionate about. If you guys can't tell, it's a story that I really feel needs to be told, and I intend to write
We can
screenplays or books or whatever I need to do to get more.
we can totally do an entire podcast just on going into that, you know, make it we can go into that in further detail. I think it's actually a very important thing. I think that that event set us on a crash course towards a basically like crash test dummy course, you know, because a lot of things were averted because we didn't have access to that. And I think that we should dedicate some time to going over that in greater detail.
Oh yeah, and you look at the time period that happened was around the World War II time, which what happened back then? Oh yeah, Uranus was doing its thing, just like it is
Yeah,
right at this moment.
right.
So
So
there's a lot of societal change
yeah,
that happened about 80 years ago, where we
right.
were kind of steered into this direction societally where we're at now, right?
So
And
I'm gonna do a quick recap just so we all will have an idea of what's going on here, right? So we have first Pluto and Capricorn, 1776 and 2024. Okay, so that brings a transformation of power structures, uh, political systems. So we have Uranus and Gemini, 1776 and 2024, where the founding of our
Uranus and
country.
Taurus. Uranus and Taurus was where it's at now.
Oh, so I'm sorry. So Uranus and Gemini, 1776, and Uranus and Taurus is 2024, correct. So in Uranus and Gemini, we were at the founding of the country. This is when freedom, independence, dissemination of information. Basically, they were having public discourse during this time. Now, 2024, we're currently bringing back revolutionary shifts in values, material resources, financial systems, more upheaval, right? We're all basically now we value material wealth and resources, environmental stability, sustainability, and we value technological disruptions that are reshaping our global economies, such as AI. Right? These are the things that we're investing heavily into today. We've got Neptune in Virgo back in 1776, and we've got Neptune in Pisces 2024, 2025. So we've
And
got
last time Neptune was in Pisces was the Civil War.
correct.
So it's something we talked about in the first part, was like all these planets, the last time that they were at where they're at now was these three different huge events in human history, in the Revolutionary War with Pluto and Capricorn, with the Civil War with Neptune in Pisces, and then World War II when Uranus was in Taurus. And they're all there now in the 29th degree, which we, in the first part, we really went into the meaning behind the 29th degree. And all three of these major astrological alignments, events, are happening at this moment between now and the end of this year, which coincides with this election. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of
You
things happening astrologically, and something you guys need to look into more, as we
know,
stress in part one, like all the major business people, spiritual leaders, all these people that are of influence and power all look at astrology. They all have astrologers that look into the stars. The ancients were all obsessed with the stars and the planets, or the moving stars, as they called the planets. They didn't know that they were actually planets back then, but they knew that they were significant and that their movements were influential to the goings on this planet. And why wouldn't they be? Why the fuck would they be there if they weren't some kind of, some way, shape, or form, a part of this structure, of this apparatus, this construct that we are a part of, which is a bunch of circles going in circles. Which is something I talk about as a sacred geometry artist. It's like everything is circles and circles
right.
going in circles and
There
circles
are no
going in
straight lines.
cycles.
There are no straight lines.
It's there. We are not living in a linear construct. It is a circular construct with curvature, and it's significant. It's very significant. And the deeper you dive into these concepts, you understand more deeply how it all works together.
Yeah, and actually, one of those things I wanted to talk about here was I'm not gonna go over the last two Uranuses that came by. I want to talk about the current Uranus return to 2021. Only because it's a transit from 2018 to 2026. And I'm gonna read from this just because I don't want to like misspeak here. But it says we're currently approaching the third Uranus return to the United States, which is taking place with Uranus and Taurus from 2018 to 2026. This return is bringing profound changes in economics, technology, and social structures with the COVID-19 pandemic, political polarization, and social movements like Black Lives Matter and climate activism reshaping the national landscape. Okay, so we've got the third Uranus return. We've got Neptune in Aries, which is going to be 2025 to 2039. So that's going to be what, 14-year cycle where we're going to have that. And that's going to be um, representing spirituality, idealism, collective consciousness. And Aries represents action, individualism, and bold new beginnings. So we can expect between 2025 and 2039 to basically start seeing like what you would normally see in a movie, right? Like think of Sling, was it Blade Runner? Think of like Fifth Element. Um, think of like iRobot, like that type of society. Like that is a type of society that we have the potential to turn into between the years of 2025 and 2039. This is all leading us up into those times. Even with the technological innovations that we're having, I mean, I don't know if you're even aware, B, but there was recently I saw on a news thing that there was a university or a college out in Orlando, Florida, that had broken Mach speed, and they built an engine that could take you from California to Florida in like 10 minutes if they can get it like commercialized, right? But they were able to get it to fire up and to like actually work. Um and it's just like mind blowing. Like we're like these are things that are happening at a small scale in small parts of the world that you're not going to hear about this stuff mainstream, because that mainstream news, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the disclosure stuff on not just aliens but technology, the reason why they don't happen is because there's implications involved, right? if if we were to come out and say, oh yeah, we know about aliens, we've known about them for a long time, what does that do to the structure of religion and the story about how we
Well,
got to
not
be?
only that, what does it do to public faith in the power structure, right? If
Right.
we've been communicating with aliens since, let's say, Roswell in the 40s, then
Exactly.
and they've been keeping it from the public, then when they finally do disclose this, the public's gonna be like, well, motherfucker, why didn't you tell us 100 years ago, right? You've been conspiring with these aliens for 100 years in the dark and not telling us when we could have like had the Jetsons Society 50 years ago. Like we were talking about this last episode, and this is where we're at with technology and with spirituality, with all these things. Like the ancients, we were talking about this. The ancients all kept science, religion, and medicine, all these different things under one heading, right? And then now they're all off on their own
All
tangent, doing their
siloed.
own.
They're all
They're
siloed.
they're all doing their own fucking thing, right? Instead of bringing it all together. And
Yep.
I feel like this is where we're at. We're in this shift where like we're being offered as a populace, as a species, we are being offered this huge opportunity to take this shift in a positive direction. And we can have the Jetsons future. We have this technology at our fingertips that's ready to free us from the burdens of the society that have plagued humanity for over 100 years. This societal structure, pyramid structure, where there's all these people down here at the bottom like us that are holding up this pyramid, and we have to go work at shitty jobs that we hate, and it's like not fulfilling our purpose as a species.
No.
It's like just like, and this is where I went on this tangent about the reefer madness and the people that we're ushering out with this shift, is like we have this opportunity to get rid of these people that have
Yeah.
kept humanity in this pyramid
Right.
structure for over 100 years,
Well,
right?
one of
These
the things about this is that's cool is that our revolution today is not war, it's technology. And we're doing it in the forms of innovation, right? So one of the things that like that I had a Twitter space not long ago. If you all want to hear it, go to the Telegram channel. I posted it. And we talked about how you know, these cycles of of economic cycles that we can't break out of. We don't break out of them unless we out innovate, because we get stuck in these loops where we keep doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results. And so until you get some sort of technological innovation, like the dot-com era, right, where the internet started booming, where boom, like they had a reason to invest capital into something. They invested into infrastructure, they invested into hardware, into fiber wire, they invested into satellites. There was like a reason to invest, there was a reason to grow. but we've hit this lull where like there's not really much happening in the tech space until you start hitting AI. But then you hit limitations on your AI because you need hardware to do that. You also need cooling to do that. You also need energy to do that. There's a lot of factors that play into doing the whole AI thing. And then you get into blockchain and decentralization, and that's all fun and dandy until you start realizing that quantum computers can break those. So you need something that's quantum resistant, and then you start seeing like a lot of the stuff that people are doing. You think that people are trying to innovate and help you, but then you realize that you're out there in an ocean full of sharks and everyone's out for themselves, and that's why you get all these pump and dump scams, and people are like, NFTs, I don't want to hear about NFTs. I got raped with my NFTs, or like my NFTs are worthless now. It's like, yeah, it's like because you didn't understand what it was. Very much like I didn't understand what Bitcoin was back in 2012 when I had it. Because if I would have known then what I knew now, I would have possibly never met you, B, because I would have been retired many times over on some tropical island somewhere, and
Well,
it
then I'm
wouldn't,
glad it happened because we were
right?
supposed to meet because we were about to change
Of
the world.
course, exactly that. And for that reason, like, and I want to read this here because a lot of the stuff that's happening with the Bitcoin opportunity and stuff like that, it's all happening again. If you're not involved in understanding what Zen is, and I know that B, I haven't told you enough about Zen yet. I talk about it all the time. Um, I won't talk about any other crypto out there because there's no point. Every other crypto out there is either Bitcoin or it's Ethereum, okay, and it's a derivative thereof, okay. There's no other coin out there unless you talk about a new ecosystem, and the only one that has that right now that's kind of like is Solana. I'm not sold on Solana because back in the day when they first launched, Solana was known as the chain that was broken or repaired, or was it uh, fixed or repaired daily, kind of like Ford, whatever. But that's kind of like what the Solana motto was. It was fixed or repair daily. They were always dead, always down chain. And I guess they finally got their shit figured out. But long story short is the fact that we're going into this new era where everything is moving. The money is going to be moving off of Bitcoin, off of Ethereum into something that's far more scalable, far more equitable, far more inclusive. And if you haven't done your homework, I suggest you look at Zen.network, XEN.network, look up Jack Levin, look up X1, look up Zen, pick your favorite chain and go get some, go mine it, go figure it out. Look up Crypto Bro. He's also always talking about this stuff. I'm gonna show you guys, and drop him in the chats down below. It's important that you guys look at this stuff because right now, the opportunity that we had back in Bitcoin, which I think that the Satoshi Nakamoto, um, idealism that was presented at the time in 2009 is more of the opportunity of decentralization that we can reach it. It doesn't mean that Satoshi was going to solve the problem of decentralization. Satoshi just presented the narrative of decentralization that we can do it. And it was something meant to inspire other people to go out there and go full degen and figure out how to break this centralized system into manageable decentralized ecosystems that were far out of the controls of people that can manipulate them for their own selfish purpose or for their own selfish gains. And I think that we're on the cusp of all these beautiful things. And I'll read from here. It says Neptune will return to Aries in 2025, marking the beginning of a new cycle of bold idealism, social activism, and spiritual awakening. This period could bring a new wave of social movements and revolutionary ideas, similar to the ideological battles seen during the Civil War era. This is likely to be a strong focus on individualism, personal freedoms, and the fight for new ideals, especially in the realms of identity, politics, and spiritual awakening. Right? Some of the things that we could expect during this time period are going to be rise of new social movements focused on individual right freedoms and autonomy, and gender identity, digital privacy, and personal sovereignty. Sovereignty is a really big deal. We all talk about it, but we don't really understand sovereignty. We don't know sovereignty in this country.
No, and this is one of why something that I stress is, finding your own authentic self, finding your own identity, finding your power within, finding like who you are, what you are, because you've never explored these things. You've always probably been stuck, punching a clock. You never really looked internally. And, Alex talks a lot about crypto, and a lot of you guys probably, your brain probably goes, it's short circuits because you don't know this stuff. You don't know this stuff. Like I've dabbled in it enough to understand it and to know that what Alex is presenting to us is very important. It's very important to look into these things because he is somebody that knows. He is somebody that has dedicated his life for the last 8, 9 years to understanding crypto, to like figuring out like how he can provide something to that space and innovating with it.
I've been trying to figure out how to beat the game just like you guys.
Yeah, and you've been learning how to innovate within that sphere, within that world, and so you have an affluence of knowledge in that sphere. And people who don't know anything about crypto, it's time you guys start looking. And even if you don't really understand it, it doesn't really like register. Just know that like we can't do the same thing we did with the new money that we did with the old money, where it was like we just trusted the banks and we trusted the money printers and we just, oh, let's just trust the powerful with this incredible tool that really like our whole life revolves around it. But let's trust them. And I
That
don't
sounds like a
understand.
great
I
idea.
don't understand how this whole money thing works. What does it mean? And it, we
Yeah,
got lost. We got
yeah,
lost with this old system, and we got
you
stuck
know,
in this cycle of like low key slavery where
yeah.
we're working for this thing that really is has no value, at least since it got taken off the gold standard. So if you guys aren't up to snuff on economics, and we've talked about it plenty in the few episodes we have had of this podcast, educate yourself about the money system, educate yourself about the gold standard, about just figure it out, right? This money rules your life. You should understand it. And if you don't, then that's why you are where you're at, and you will never break out of it if you don't dedicate yourself to learning. Um, Learn it, please. Like
Yeah.
this is not fucking child's play anymore. Where we're at in society, and we're not bringing you this stuff about astrology and all this information to scare you. We're trying to empower you with the truth. We're trying to empower you with this knowledge so that we can collectively, as a collective, fight what's coming, right? Because the powers that be, the people that have low key enslaved us for the last 200 years and beyond, if you really want to go back to the vassals and the serfs and the royal bloodlines and the monarchy and the stuff that they did to keep the people down, like we're really being offered this fucking golden opportunity by the creator to change things for the next cycle of humanity, right? We're being
That's
given this
funny.
golden opportunity, and
I
all
was
we have to do is educate ourselves.
I was watching this podcast yesterday. I'm glad you said that because I was watching she's a tarot reader and she was saying, you know, that it was funny because she's like, if you're a truth seeker, this reading is for you because you're seeking the knowledge and knowledge is power. It's like, yes, I am a truth seeker. I seek knowledge and I understand knowledge is power. And not only is knowledge power, but knowledge is wealth, knowledge is health, knowledge is understanding, knowledge is knowledge is surviving, right? You can either what is it? You can either survive in the jungle or you can exist in a zoo.
I love
Think
that.
about think
I
about
love
that one,
that. And like
right?
it's like we've been conditioned, right, to be distracted by the bread and the circus. Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. There was an old Roman saying, I think Cicero said it. Give them bread and circus and they will never revolt. And you have had your fill of bread and circus
Yep.
society, people out
Entertained,
there watching.
yep. Entertained and distracted to your own demise.
You've allowed yourself to be distracted. You've allowed yourself to be dumbed down by the schooling system, by, you know, culturally them telling you that being smart is for dorks and nerds. and let's go be cool and drink all the time and go to parties and go to football games and get drunk and lose our minds. And
And just so
that
you know,
time is
nerds do all
over.
that.
Like
Nerds
literally,
do all that too, by the way. Nerds do all that too.
and by all means enjoy your life and go out and enjoy the fruits of life, right? But don't get so distracted that you get put into a fucking box, which is where you're
Right.
living. We are
Don't
living in
forget to
box
read between the lines.
ideological boxes and distraction boxes, and oh, my baseball team box. Oh, what's my
Right.
baseball team doing? What's my fantasy team doing? Oh, I'm gonna go get drunk this weekend because I hate my job, and those 2 days of freedom, I gotta go fucking blow my mind with drugs and alcohol because I can't stand to live. Let's get rid of that shit, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
fucking empower ourselves. We are very powerful beings, and this has been you've been kept away from this power for far too long. And
Yeah.
part of the reason we're here as alchemists is to take this negative energy of society and give you some love. I love you guys. I love you. And I've been
We
there
love you.
too. Trust me. I was a fucking Dodger fan and I would hate my life when they would lose. And my whole fucking mood would be thrown off by my fucking baseball team, right? I've been distracted by my fantasy team. I've thrown fucking controllers across the room when a field goal kicker fucking beats me in fantasy with a fucking
Yeah.
last minute field goal, right? I've been that guy. That's why I'm
I
telling you guys, like, I've been that person, and I'm telling you that's not the place to be, man. Not where we're at
want
right
to
now.
I want to share something with you, Bean, and this is for the audience. You know, it took a little while before we decided to do the podcast thing, and I love talking to B about this stuff. And the truth of the matter is, like, I could talk to B about this stuff all day long off air and not recording it, but we understand this stuff. Maybe we overstand it. Maybe we understand it too well, and we want to share this from our perspective with you because we love you. Like whoever we send this podcast to, whoever we send a link to, say, hey, check that out, like listen to that, like check out the message. Each podcast we do has an underlying message, and the message that we have in those podcasts is for you, and we care about you. We don't have all the time in the day to just sit there and tell you about all these little things that we've picked up on our journey in our life, but we can put them down in these podcasts, and where how we share our thoughts and our perspectives, so you can pick up the breadcrumbs that we put down, so it'll help you on your journey. We understand that not everyone is at the capacity that we are, and that it's daunting, it's scary, it's a lot of work, it's a fuck ton of work, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of sacrifice, it's a lot of giving up things that you really enjoy, like your pride and ego. Primarily those two. If you can get rid of those two things, everything else falls off real easy. But I had to put my pride and my ego aside to come on camera and talk about things. I hated being on camera. The last thing I want to see on camera is my face, trust me. And the last thing I want to do is hear myself talk, because I don't enjoy it. But I do feel like I know enough of a thing or two that's important for you to learn. And I'm gonna keep talking to B, and I'm gonna talk to other people, and we're gonna have different conversations, and you could either tune in or you can't, but just know that these words are going to haunt you when you live it. And it's going to be like that one episode that we did with B, where we talked about, how you get all these signs that you shouldn't go down that alleyway, but you think you know better, and you're like, I'm gonna go down there anyway, and you realize that, oh nope, I shouldn't. I'm not gonna tell you so. Do it tell you I told you so, but I told you so. And what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're hearing this now and you decide to tune away and not come back, this is all going to come back to you at some point or another, because this is nothing new. It's not like we made it up.
And you're
And
seeing this for a reason, right? Like, we're not a huge podcast by any means. We're getting a couple dozen people per episode. But if you come across this
which, thank
this
you to our new
podcast,
watchers.
yeah,
Thank you.
if you come across this podcast, thank you for watching, first of all. But also, this message is for you, right? You found this for a reason. The universe gave you this podcast to listen to for a reason, because we're here talking to you. I'm looking at this camera right now, and I'm looking at you because you're meant to hear this message. And we get it, man. The burden of knowledge is cumbersome. I was talking to Alex about this yesterday. I was in a very bad mood of like just
Yeah.
deep in my shadow from that
We were
had been
supposed to record this yesterday,
we
but
were
we
going to
couldn't.
record yesterday, but I've been in this
Yeah.
since this fast I was talking about. Like I've been like purging old shadow, right? And like the burden of knowledge is heavy, and we understand that, but we wouldn't be wasting our time, which is not a waste, but like we wouldn't be using our time on camera talking about these things and getting it out to you who is watching me, the person that was meant for this message. We wouldn't be doing this unless we felt it was important. We wouldn't be doing this unless the love in our heart was telling us, you guys have knowledge that needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And I don't care if 5 people hear it. Source is telling us you need to get this information out. You've been chosen, and I've given you this knowledge so that you can share it and help the collective,
Right.
which is
Because you're not the only one going through this. We're all going through it. Where we go one, we go all.
and it's just I keep harping on this massive shift, but this is where we're at in human history, right? We've all been incarnated onto this planet at this time for this specific reason, right? And if you don't feel the call within your heart, then maybe you're dead inside. But I know that if you found this message, you feel the call in your heart because that's what this message is for. It's for people that feel it in their heart that something is happening and that you have a part to play in this. You have a purpose. We have a purpose, all of us together collectively, to take this knowledge that we've been blessed with and use it for the benefit of all. That is what we are here for. And what more noble cause do we have than to push this species forward into a better future? That is all we can ask for in our lives, to be
That's
given
it.
the opportunity, to be given the opportunity to take this place, this fucking blessed planet that we've been gifted by the creator and make it better. What more do you want out of your life? What more is there? It's not fucking drinking and watching your football team on Sunday. It's making a
Yeah.
fucking difference for this species at a time when this species needs us.
Yes. So on that note, and yes, absolutely 100% to everything you just said. And like he said, I told B when I started this, he's like, no one's gonna watch this, right? I'm like, you know what, dude? If I touch one person's heart, we did our job. So I'm gonna say this. Based on the today's astrology theme, the Uranus return and Neptune in Aries from over 200 years ago both occurred during transformative periods in US history, particularly during the American Revolution and the Civil War. These planetary cycles correlate with themes of revolution, societal restructures, and ideological battles. This is a summary of everything we just talked about. As we approach another Uranus return and Neptune's entry into Aries in 2025, we can expect similar themes of transformation, upheaval, and the redefinition of American ideals to play out, with the potential for both progress and conflict as the nation once again confronts its foundational principles. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your butts. It's going to get rocky.
And we all feel it, man. We know it's going to get worse before it gets better, but just have the hope. That's all we can ask for. Have the hope that it's going to get better. Don't be a defeatist. Don't fall a victim to fear. Don't fall a victim to the shadow that wants to tell us that we're doomed and that all this fucking shit, the revelation is coming and it's at the end of the world and it's
Yeah.
just all
And the
this horrible
rapture
stuff.
and the rapture and all this other stuff.
And you know, get in tune with yourself, find your authentic self. And I'm telling you, if you're watching this, you have a purpose and we love you. And everything about this podcast is love because alchemy is love, right? It's about transmuting that shadow, that dark energy into love, right? And there's a lot of this information's heavy. It's hard to
Yeah.
take. Like I said, the burden of knowledge is cumbersome, but with the power of this knowledge, we can shift the
Yeah.
entire paradigm, the entire destiny of this species. And
Yeah.
we don't have to sit around worrying about the apocalypse and the revelation because it's
Yeah.
going to happen, right? But the key to understanding the apocalypse and the revelation and the Mayan calendar and all this other stuff is like we're it goes back to what I was saying, and I'm going to end this episode on this. We're on a circle going in circles with a bunch of circles going in circles. It's all a bunch of circles. It's all a bunch of cycles, right? There is no end. It's not going to end. It's just going to shift and go into another cycle, right? And that's all these scriptures we're talking about is like we're shifting into a new age. We're shifting into a new cycle. And instead of going into a shell and waiting for Jesus to come on a cloud, it's time to get in the action. Get your feet, jump in with 2 feet into humanity,
10 toes
learn
down
your
the ground.
stuff, become empowered, become knowledgeable, and we can face any challenge that we collectively can come up against,
Yep.
right? We
You
can
know,
face anything.
I'm gonna give you this correlation, and this will be kind of like my closing thoughts on this, which is, um, there's a reason. Like, well, for one, I don't know. I can tell you this. Women when they give birth to children, the reason why they're able to do it is because they know in their minds that they're going to have to do it, right? It takes an entire 9 months for them to build up the psyche that they know that they have to push out this watermelon from a tennis ball. And in that same context, like whenever you're about to endure something and you're going through it, like having the heads up is is like that birthing pain where you know you're about to go through it. Like we're giving you this knowledge, this information now, so you know, yes, it's going to get harder for some. Yes, it's going to get more challenging for some. And in some situations, it's going to probably be very bizarre. In some cases, you might think that situations that would really be challenging normally would be really easy. And then other things that you would think would be really easy may become challenging. It's, it's, you can't tell which one's going to come, but just know that it's going to be a little bumpy and it's okay. And just breathe and just know that if you're going through something and someone else did something to you to cause you to like shift or whatever, just know like it's probably not on purpose. Give a little bit of grace to people. Don't just be quick to snap and like lose your cool. Because I guarantee you that they're not the only one, and you're not the only one going through stuff. Collectively, we're all going through a major shitstorm, and I think that once we get past elections time, things will start to like kind of calm down a little bit. But right now, we're in like the middle of the squeeze where we're getting like everything just squeezed out of us, every last little drop that they can get, before before the big event, whatever that big event is. We just know that we're about to reach that pinnacle of that big event, and so this is that we're giving you that birthing pain notice, right? Like we're about to give birth to some really extraordinary shit. We don't know how it's going to affect us. We just know we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it. And when it happens, just be like, yo, those two mofos right there, they knew it was going to happen.
Exactly, brother. We're getting headed for the birth of the new world. And the more knowledgeable you are, the more empowered you are. And collectively, we can give birth to this fucking watermelon. So let's fucking do it. That's it for this episode, guys. We're about to run out of time. Thank you for
Thank y'all.
watching. All the relevant stuff is down there in the description. We love
And
you.
Telegram.
Until next time.